Today I'm going to be walking you through the 2-point street perspective. For this project you're going to need a 12 by 18 piece of paper, a ruler, a pencil, and a good eraser. We're going to start off this project by folding our paper into a quarter fold. Once we have our paper folded, we're going to arrange it landscape, and we're going to mark two vanishing points, one on the left and one on the right, along the horizon line. So with your pencil, make marks on those two edges of the paper. When you're done with that, we're going to create a horizontal diamond that lines up those two vanishing points to two tick marks that we're going to place on the vertical center fold. So you'll need your ruler and you'll align it with inches along the middle fold. You'll make a tick mark at 3.5 inches and at 8.5 inches. Once you make those tick marks, you're going to align those tick marks to the left and right vanishing point, creating your horizontal diamond. Now that we have our diamond, it's time to draw our buildings. We're going to start with the middle of the paper with building number 3. The middle fold will become a vertical line which will divide the building into a left and right side. When we're creating the left and right side, we create tick marks along the top of the diamond to determine the width of the side of the building. You decide that. Then create your vertical line along the middle fold and shimmy your ruler to the left to the tick mark, maintaining a parallel line. You'll repeat that process on the right side to create your finished building. Now that we have building number 3, it's time to draw building number 4. What we'll do is we'll put a tick mark on the upper right-hand side of the roof of building number 3. That tick mark is going to be a vertical line that is going to determine the height of building number 4. So after you draw that line and you determine that height, you've created the left side of building number 4. For the rooftop, since it's on the left side, we need to align the end of that line to the left vanishing point, gaining a slope. Once we have that slope, we extend the slope from the end of the vertical line to the width that we want that side of the building, like this. Now we're going to connect the end of that line to the right vanishing point and extend it to the width that we want the right side of the building, and you determine that. From there, you're going to draw a vertical line from the corner down to the base of the diamond, and you'll draw another vertical line, the end of your right slope line, down to the diamond as well. From there, you'll have building number 4, with the last step aligning the bottom middle line to the left vanishing point to create the third dimension. Now it's time to draw building number 5, and we're going to follow the same steps that we did when we drew building number 4, starting with a vertical line that is ticked off on the left side of the building this time, and we'll extend that as high up as we want the left side of building 5 to be. So shimmy your ruler vertically to the tick mark, draw your vertical line to the height that you'd like, and then line up the end of that line to the left vanishing point. Once you get that slope, extend the slope to the right to the width that you want your building, and then extend it to the other side of the vanishing point, the right vanishing point, to the width that you want the right side. When you have the corner created, you'll draw a vertical line down to the bottom diamond. And when you are done with that, you will shimmy your ruler vertically to the right to the end of your line leading to the right vanishing point to finish off building number 5. So we've drawn building 3, 4, and 5, and now we're going to move to the left to draw building number 2, which is an L-shaped building, my favorite. So again, a tick mark, this time on the left side, that determines where our vertical line will be. This time we're creating the right sides of the building, and so we're going to be lining up our ruler to the right vanishing point to establish the slope and extend that slope to the left, however wide you want the right side of that building to be. Once you've determined that, you're going to align the end of that line to the left vanishing point to create the corner which will become a vertical line. But that vertical line is not going to go down to the diamond. It's only going to be 4 inches long. So at the end of your line, from the right vanishing point, you're going to shimmy vertically to the left until the end of the line and extend it down only to 4 inches. This is what will create the L shape. At the bottom of that 4-inch line, you're going to align that to the right vanishing point and only make a connection between the end of that line and building 3. From that point, you'll go back up to your corner, connect that to the left vanishing point, extend it to the length or the width that you want the left side of the building. You determine that. And then at the end of the line, you will draw a vertical line down to the bottom. Now that we're done with building number 2, we're going to move on to building number 1. We're going to start this building as we've had all the other buildings with a vertical line. This time the vertical line is going to go on the upper right-hand side of building number 2. And so after we create that vertical line, you determine the height. You will then align the end of that line to the right vanishing point. Once you line it up to the right vanishing point, you'll extend the slope to the left, to the width that you want the right side of the building. Once you extend that slope, and you may have to shimmy a ruler back and forth because it probably won't reach. Once you extend it, then you will align the end of that line to the left vanishing point, creating a corner at the top. And then at the corner, you'll create your vertical line, and then you'll also tick mark how far you want the building to go to the left for the width and create another vertical line. The only difference between this building and building number 2, the L-shaped building, is that you are going to have a corner that is created at the middle line. So this line that's going down here at the bottom of it, you're going to want to line up the corner of that line to the right vanishing point and get the slope, and then simply draw a connecting line from that corner to the edge of building number 2. Now that we're done with our buildings, it's time to draw in our windows. So a couple things to remember. When you are creating windows on the left side of the building, you're going to be lining it up to the left vanishing point. Similarly, you'll do the same to the right side. Windows on the right side would be on the right vanishing point. So what I'm going to start off with is creating tick marks along my vertical line of building number 3 to designate my sections for my windows. Once I'm done with those tick marks, I'm going to line those tick marks up to the left and right vanishing point to create my horizontal window sections. Now I'm going to use vertical lines to create the individual window panes. I'll do this by making tick marks on the horizontal line, align my ruler vertically to the middle line, and shimmy it to each tick mark. To create windows on the right side of a building, I'm going to do the same steps that I did before. I'm going to put tick marks along the vertical line that determine the spacing of my windows. And then I'll line up those tick marks to the right vanishing point since it's the right side of the building. And then if I want vertical lines, I'll create tick marks and shimmy it vertically or shimmy it across, keeping the ruler parallel to the middle vertical line. Now I'll put a tick mark on the top of my roof, dividing those windows in half, shimmy my ruler vertically, and draw a line. So now I'm going to show you how to make a big window pane in another building. And we'll do that pretty much the same way we've had all along, but since it's just one window, you have some directions to follow. So if I want a big window pane, what I'm going to do first is put a tick mark on the vertical line to indicate where I want the window to end and where I want it to begin. Once I have those two marks, I'm going to line them up to the vanishing point to the width that I want my window pane to be. So once I get that slope, then I will line my ruler up to the vertical line on the edge of the building and shimmy it. I may even thicken those lines to make it look like a frame. Now it's time for billboards. So we're going to create a billboard on a side of the building, and we follow the rules we have for windows, and that is if it's created on one side of a building, then you line it up to the vanishing point. So in this case, we're creating our billboard on the left-hand side, starting with a vertical line at the top of the roof. So put a tick mark, and put a tick mark that will determine how wide you want your billboard to be. And then your vertical line should be parallel to the vertical line on the corner of the building. Draw your line straight up. You're going to line up the end of that line to the left vanishing point, and you will extend that line to the length of where your second tick mark is. And then you will line up your ruler vertically to the tick mark and shimmy it to the end of the line, and then close it off for your billboard. You could also put a tick mark on the leg of the billboard if you want it to look like it has two legs. Line up that tick mark on the leg to the vanishing point, and then it looks like you have like a sign on top of the building. On the topic of signs, not only should you have billboards, but you should have signs on the building. So you could do that very easily with just creating like a window section, but on the top of a building. So we'll do that on the other side, putting a tick mark where you want the sign to end, lining up that tick mark to the right vanishing point, so it's on the right-hand side, and then draw across, and then you have a place to advertise on the billboard for that building and on the building itself on the right side as a sign. Okay, so we've covered billboards, signs, windows. So now the only thing I can think of to add to your building is a way to get in, so doors. Hopefully by now you're getting in the rhythm of the pattern of how to create these things. So doors going to be on the bottom. You choose the side of the building. We'll choose the right. You will shimmy your ruler vertically to the vertical line and then draw a tick mark to represent how wide you want the door, and then you will shimmy your ruler vertically to that tick mark, draw the height vertically, line up the end of that line to that vanishing point to about the width of where your second tick mark is, and then from there you will line up your ruler vertically to the corner of the building and shimmy it to the end of that line. So that is a very basic door, but it is the same process for any type of door, just the basis for creating billboards, signs, etc. So we're ready for the lower part of our piece, and that is developing the sidewalk and the curb. So we're going to start from the corner of building number 3 and put a tick mark on that center fold, about 2 inches or so. You determine how wide you want your sidewalk. And we'll line up those 2 points to the vanishing point. You can see that I added a curb too, so a 1/4 inch curb will give it some dimension. But now it's time for our sidewalk line. So we're going to line up our ruler along the bottom right hand side of the diamond, have the ruler overlap the left sidewalk, and draw a line. You'll repeat that on the other side. So put the ruler on the bottom left diamond, let it overlap the sidewalk, and then you have your first sidewalk section. So the section should gradually disappear to the vanishing point. So I would take measurements, maybe start off with 2 inches and drop down a 1/4 inch for each section. Make tick marks on each side so that your sidewalks are balanced. So 2 inches on one side, 2 inches on the other, 1 3/4 on one side, 1 3/4 on the other. Once you have your tick marks that vanish all the way to the vanishing point, you will put your ruler on the sidewalk section line that we created, and you will shimmy, maintaining the slope, keeping the ruler parallel to that line all the way down, and making a line at every tick mark. We'll do that on both the left and right hand side. Now that we have the sidewalks, it's time for us to develop the crosswalk. We're going to develop the crosswalk on the left-hand side first, and what we do on the left side we'll repeat on the right. So first I'm going to put my ruler over the first section of the sidewalk and extend that slope to about 3.5 inches. Then I'll put my ruler on the next section and do the same. Those are my 2 crosswalk lines. And then I'm making a tick at about 1/4 inch. I'm shimmying my ruler from the crosswalk line, keeping it parallel and thickening those lines at the tick mark. After that, I'm going to create my 3 sidewalk line rows. So I'm going to designate them to about 1/4 inch each, and I'm going to be ticking it off closest to the vanishing point. And once I have my 3 tick marks that are around 1/4 inch each, I'm going to line each one of those to the vanishing point, and it'll extend and create the row on within the crosswalk itself. So you can see I am filling in the crosswalk lines here, and you'll do that to each of the individual crosswalk rows. So now that we've developed our crosswalk, we're going to create our sidewalk in the foreground. And what I'm doing is just lining up the end of a crosswalk to the vanishing point and drawing a cross. You may have to extend your crosswalk columns first. So now that we've developed the space at the bottom of the paper for the crosswalk, what we're going to do is use the existing crosswalk lines to extend onto our new sidewalk. So we place our ruler on the old sidewalk lines, and we use that slope to draw across to create the measured sections for our new crosswalk. So a couple things. Remember, your sidewalk will need to vanish all the way to the point. We just didn't do that. You could also create street lines in the middle of your street, broken lines or solid lines, whatever you want to do, those types of details. But whatever we did on the left-hand side, you just do that same thing on the right side of your paper to develop the sidewalk and crosswalk and street. And once you're done with that, it's time for you to design your city. You can make special peaked roofs on some of the buildings to make them look a little bit more unique. You need to create store signs and billboards in every building. You can choose one or the other. Make sure you use the original font. Make sure that's thick font. You need windows in every building, and you need doors in every building. Have fun designing.